Hey guys, and welcome to another Star Wars The Old Republic free-to-play option ability guide, this time for the Jedi Guardian Defense Spec. So the purpose of these guides is to uh, help you to play your Defense Spec Guardian as effectively as possible while keeping into account that you only have, as a free-to-play player, the two quick bars provided. Unless you want to spend a couple of dollars, you can get 3 and up, and then you can have no trouble. But it is possible to play effectively and just about as well as if you had all the quick bars with just the two, and I'm going to tell you how. So let's jump right into it. To start, we need to consider that when, as a Jedi Knight, before you've chosen Guardian, at level 1, when you just show up as a Jedi Knight, you're going to have the following skills on your quick bar. You're going to have quick travel, strike, slash, Shicho form, and introspection, as well as force might. There might be another one. If there is, you can take it off. I think that's all, though. So the first thing you should do is remove quick travel from that bar. Quick travel is an ability which is not necessary to have on your bar. Players don't normally keep this on their bar anyway. I mean, some might, especially now that 6 quick bars are out is the maximum that anybody can have. But I have never put that on my bar, and plenty of other people don't either. You need it at the very most once every 30 minutes. And if you want to get at it, you just press P. It brings up a catalog of all your abilities, and you can just get at it from there. And as somebody who has not had it on his quick bar, I can tell you it takes me seconds to find it. It's not a big deal at all. It's totally fine. The other thing that you're going to want to do is remove Force Might from your quick bar. Now, this is slightly annoying, but it's not that bad. Force Might is a buff. It's something which gives you bonus stats for 60 minutes or until you die. It's the kind of thing that you want to use every time you have just come back to life after having died, or every 60 minutes when it runs out. However, it's not the kind of thing you need to use all the time. Hopefully you will not be dying that much, and so it should hopefully be only every 60 minutes at the worst case, the best case scenario, and the worst case, maybe every 45 minutes, every 30 minutes if you die that much. But it doesn't need to be on your quick bar. You can save a spot for it by taking it off. So that's another thing that you can do. So you should pretty much, when you start the game, just have on the bar strike, slash, and introspection, because you can also take Shicho form off. There are 3 lightsaber forms as a Jedi Guardian that you will have access to. You should only have one on at a time. Depending on your spec, you should only be using basically one ever. And they are set it and forget it. You just turn them on, and then you can ignore them. So once you have this Shicho form turned on at the start of the game, you can just remove it from your quick bar. Every time you log in, it will still be turned on. You don't have to worry about it anymore. The same is true when you hit level 15 and get Sprint. Sprint is great. It lets you move more quickly while out of combat. But again, it's turned on, and then it's always on. You don't need to worry about it. So you can remove that from your quick bar too and save a slot. If you really need to get at it, again, press P. It brings up the ability catalog, and there you go. So how now, apart from that, are you going to pull this off and fit all of these other abilities without getting an additional quick bar? Well, here's what you're going to do. As you go through the game and as you level up, please just train every single ability that you're offered. Every time that you go to a trainer because you hit a new level and it's time to train something new, train it. Everything. But depending on what spec you're running, there's certain abilities you're not going to need. And I'm going to tell you what those are. So right now I'm going to tell you what those are. And so what that means is that eventually when you hit level 30 or 35 or whatever it is that you finally reach that point when you have more than 24 abilities and your bars are full and you have no more space, just take one of the things I'm about to tell you off the bar. You can leave them on there if you want when you first train them. And it might be a good idea even because as you level up, before you get the higher tier abilities, which are going to replace them, these lower tier ones might be useful. But eventually, some of them you won't need for your spec. And as a defense spec Jedi Guardian, these are the ones. The first one is probably going to be somewhat controversial. I bet there will be people who watch this video who say that you should not give this up. I'm going to say you have to give this up in order to fit everything on there. And I'm going to say as a defense spec Jedi Guardian, it's fine. You're not going to need it anyway. You shouldn't be using that much anyway. And that's Master Strike. This is one of the rougher sacrifices that has to be made out of all the classes in order to fit everything on the 2 quick bars, because it's a really great ability and it's free, so it's an especially useful ability to use when you don't have the focus. Focus is the Jedi Guardian's resource. You need to spend focus to cast certain abilities. For example, Blade Storm costs 4 focus. They call it action points here. Riposte costs 3 focus. Master Strike, as you can see, is free. And so that's really good, but I'm just going to say that if you have to give something up as a defense spec Jedi Guardian, this is probably one of them. And so maybe you can find a way to fit it in. I'm going to say that you need to give that one up, unfortunately. But that's probably about the worst thing that you'll need to give up. Here's one that you need to give up, which is not bad at all. And that is Heroic Moment. Heroic Moment is this skill which is a emergency survival boost, basically. The purpose of it has a 20-minute cooldown. And so it's really just supposed to be used when you're about to bite the dust. You really need some way to get out and survive. And people who have all the quick bars in the world, they might use this thing once every day or every couple of days. I mean, depending on if they bite off more than they can chew too much. It's the kind of thing that really the only time you'd use it is if you run into a boss fight and maybe you're having trouble with it and you die once or twice to that boss. In that case, you can put it on your quick bar temporarily, right? Take something else off that you're not using that much. I mean, by the time this becomes a problem, you'll have been playing the game for a while. You'll have gotten used to your abilities, and you'll know, gee, I can, for this one fight, sacrifice this particular ability so I can have Heroic Moment on there so I can use it if I need it. Otherwise, you don't need it. You can take it off. Another couple of things that you should take off are Guard, Taunt, and Challenging Call. Now, these are also ones which are kind of odd for a defense spec Jedi Guardian to take off, because these are the tank abilities for the Jedi Guardian, and the defense spec is the tank class, okay? But what I'm giving you here is a guide for how to get through leveling, okay? And for leveling, you don't really need these things. Challenging Call and Taunt are taunts. They basically force the enemies to attack you. And so what they're really for is when you're in a heroic quest of 4 players, you know, or a flashpoint or an operation, when you're in group content, they're ways to force the bad guys to attack the tank so that the healer can heal the tank and the DPS can fight the bad guys. Guard is another tank ability which is really best used in PvP to protect another player. You can use it in some PvP, but it's not really even necessary in operations most of the time if you're doing a good job, if the team is doing a good job. So the reason I'm telling you to take these things off is in leveling, you're not going to need these things as you're just going through the planets leveling up. If you do some flashpoints, if you do some heroic quests, you should probably, before you start them, put these abilities, at least the 2 taunts, Taunt and Challenging Call, you should probably put them back on your bar, again, replacing something else with them. But here's the thing, once again, by the time you have 24 slots totally full that you need to remove these things, you're going to know which abilities you can give up for that particular moment. What I'm telling you here is based on the abilities I think you should have on the bar always, generally speaking, because you're going to need them at any given time. But you're eventually going to know, okay, for this group fight, I can do without this ability because I know that like my healer will do this for me instead, or I know that the one of the other players will be able to take care of this, and I can give this up to put taunt. So I would just say take challenging call, taunt, and guard off your quick bars unless you go into a flashpoint or something or do a heroic 4-man, in which case you can swap them back on. Another one which I would tell you to eventually take off is Cyclone Slash. Cyclone Slash is an AoE ability, but it's kind of, I don't know a lot of people who really like Cyclone Slash as an ability. It does have a kind of quasi-usefulness in the defense spec Jedi Guardian, but not really that much anyway. And you already have Force Sweep, which is a better AoE, so you can take Cyclone Slash off and it will be totally fine. Finally, Opportune Strike and Pommel Strike, do not even train them. These are the two things I would say don't even train them. And the reason is, every class has at least one, some have two, Jedi Guardian has two, of these skills, which are basically, well, here's what they say. This one does a certain amount of damage to weak and standard and strong targets, only usable on incapacitated targets. Basically, it's these really high DPS abilities, which are useful only on your every run-of-the-mill kind of leveling mobs, you know, the ones that just clutter every single zone. And you have to stun the mob first. Like, you can't use them on elite and champion level enemies, which is kind of the ones you'd really want to use them on. They're just kind of these thrown in abilities which aren't that amazing, honestly, and they're kind of useless, I think. And I on my characters never train them. I don't spend the money. I have plenty of money in this game, right? But I don't spend the little bit of money to train these. I just don't think it's worth it, and I know a lot of others feel the same. You can just do away with them. Of all the sacrifices in the world to make, this is like nothing. So if you do all that and surrender those skills that I've just mentioned, you should be able to fit everything on your bar. One more point is when you do get Cereso form, this is what is a defense spec Jedi Guardian, the form you should be using. But again, it's a set it and forget it thing. So at level 14, you're going to get Cereso form. Turn it on, then pull it off the bar. You don't need it anymore. It's on. If it ever gets turned off somehow for some reason, you can just press P and pull up your list of abilities and get at it from there. So again, you can read these things in the text link, which is posted below the video. If it's not up now, it will be soon. Just remember to train everything, but remove the particular ones I have told you to. So now I'm just going to give you a brief little quick kind of build for a defense spec Jedi Guardian. It's one that I've made keeping in mind the fact that you're a free-to-play player. And keeping in mind the 2 quick bar limitation. All that doesn't come into play much. I've designed this for leveling. It's not a build for PvP. You know, it would work fine in PvP, I suppose. It's not a build for, you know, operations, although I suppose it would work just as well there too. But it's specifically designed for just leveling and making sure that as a free-to-play player, this will work out the best for you. So, on level 10, you get your first point. You're going to go into Dust Storm. Then Dust Storm again on level 11, and 12. Then Momentum on level 13 and 14. See the point? And level 15, Guard Stance, 16, Guard Stance, 17, Guard Stance, etc. So then Lunge once, twice. Now Warding Call. Warding Call is an ability. It's going to go on your skill bar. So this one will take up a slot. Most of these don't, but like 2 or 3 in each tree potentially can, and this one does. This is an amazing ability, by the way. Reduces all damage taken by 40% for 10 seconds in terms of defense and like staying alive, which is something as a free-to-play player you really want to prioritize. This is just amazing. It's incredible. Next, Blade Barricade, another really cool ability. Fill it out to 3 points. It causes whenever you cast Well, Blade Barricade isn't the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of another one you'll get later. although Blade Barricade isn't that bad either. Put a point next into Pacification. This should be at level 24. Now at level 25, you're going to come up and do Stasis Mastery. At level 26, Blade Barrier. I confused Blade Barricade with Blade Barrier. Blade Barrier is the really cool one. It causes Blade Storm to give you a little shield, which is really cool. Just more defense. It's really, really nice. 2 points in Courage. Moving up, get Hilt Strike. Hilt Strike is, again, another ability. It goes on your bar. Warding Call and Hilt Strike go on your bar. They take up space. You should have room for it. Go into Shield Specialization, 1 and 2. Go into Command, 1 and 2. Do Inner Peace. Fill up Cyclonic Sweeps. Now, I told you to take Cyclone Slash off your bar. This skill does buff Cyclone Slash, kind of, but what you really want this for is, see, it says increases the frequency at which Cereso form can generate focus by 3 seconds. That's why I'm telling you to get this. It's going to ensure that you have more focus, more resource to spend to use your skills. Finally, take Guardian Slash. This one also goes on your quick bar. It takes up a space, and you should have room for it. Moving on, going to come down and fill up Single Saber Mastery. This is at levels 41, 42, and 43. Go and get Improved Sundering Strike. And then go 2 points into Perseverance. Finally, I'm going to say come over here and get Purifying Sweeps. 1 and 2 points. And then 1 point into Swelling Winds. Swelling Winds makes your Force Sweep a little better and a little more frequent, and Force Sweep and Purifying Sweep together will help your you to do more damage. You're going to be slightly a little bit slight, a little bit under DPSing because you're dedicating so much to defense and not a whole lot of points to offense, and so these particular skills are really helpful to make sure that you are doing damage and you are killing things a little bit more quickly. So that should be it. This is a little odd to have just the 1 point in here, but again, I did tweak a couple of things here that might be slightly different from other builds, just because of the free-to-play. Not that much, but you might see something a little different if you let some other builds somewhere, and that's fine too. If you find one that you prefer, then go ahead and use it. This is, again, not the best build or the only build. It's just a build that should work for you, I think. So with that being said, guys, again, check the link, and also there's videos for all the other skill specs, the other 2 specs of Guardian, as well as the other classes, if you're interested. So have fun.